so he had a small group.
Sorry.
And,
That's okay.
And so, well, anyway, so it was a nice lodge. I don't know if you've ever been to the Kaiba Plateau, but it's like an island pushed up by tectonic plates, and it's the only place where there's a little bit of life in Arizona. The rest is just deader than dead. It's interesting to drive around. I mean, there's the Vermilion Cliffs and the Marble Canyon and Glen Canyon.
Yeah, those are gorgeous vistas.
Yeah, those are quite pretty. But it's 100+ degrees there, so.
Oh God!
Drive around in your life, a little bubble of
Is
life.
it Grand Canyon? Hank, is it Grand Canyon?
Yes.
Yeah. So 100 degrees. So they were having a little cold snap there. Huh?
Well, so it's actually getting pretty damn cold at night. So we set up at around 8 o'clock or so, and in the beginning it's okay, but then pretty soon everything gets cold, and especially I have to use my fingers for the Galaxy tab, and they were getting awfully cold. So by 12 o'clock, I just had to leave. They have the same time, so 12 o'clock would be 1 o'clock here, I guess. But yeah, it was cold, and there were 2 nights when we had clouds. The rest of the nights was pretty good. And even when we had clouds, it was only part of the time. But I used it as an excuse to pack up and go back to the cabin.
Yeah.
So,
how'd your red cat work?
Sorry?
How did the red cat work?
Oh, I didn't use it yet. I've been struggling with the Newt. This is the first time that it's ended up without internet and with the battery. Well, I've practiced with the battery actually.
Hank, what you need to get is mucklux.
What do you have there?
It's it's like a glove, but it has a thing.
Okay, yeah.
They're also called glommets.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
I'd buy that, but first I need to get a pair of long johns, because I use 2 pairs of jeans over each other, but it's not so comfortable, and it's not as good, I think. But long johns are on my list now. So
you have a parka?
My body was warm enough. I had a hoodie and then a very good jacket over it. That's no problem. But yeah, it was especially my fingers that was the big problem. But anyway, yeah, there were all kinds of things. There was a flex couplers that went loose and so on, and plate solving that didn't work. But I figured it all out. I mean, first night I couldn't figure out how to set the date and time, because you have to set the date through the operating system, and you have to set the location in ECOS. And actually it was simple, but in the dark everything is difficult, and I had to press a plus icon, and I didn't do it anyway. So I had the wrong location, wrong time, because I didn't, you have to figure out exactly how ECOS does all this stuff. And I should have done it before, ahead of time, of course, but anyway, but it was fun. The last night I actually got some images and everything works fine. So, and the images that I got, I can actually try to log on here. Let me see here.
Oh boy. Can't wait.
Just no, it's just 4 images. It's let's see here. Let me look for the link just a second. Oh, here. If Tom can let me in, let me see here. Join us on Friday.
I'll look for you. I don't see anything right at the moment.
No, I'm just okay here now. Oh, now something should be coming. Did you get my request, or?
I'm still looking here.
Okay.
No, I don't see anything new.
Let's see what's coming. Oh, a launch meeting. Okay. All right. Yeah. Join a meeting. Oh, now something should be coming. Okay. Yeah. Join with that video.
There we go.
Sorry about that. Okay. Let's join soon. Okay. Connecting. All these pop-ups. I don't know what's going on. It says connecting.
Yep, it's connecting.
Recorded, and now let's see here. Participants share screen. There. Join with computer audio. No, just close.
Oh wow.
Neat. Is that the eagle? Yeah.
Yeah, that's just the eagle. These images, I just took 10 minutes, and then it was starting to get cold. So
that's a single frame at 10 minutes.
Yes, no, this is actually 20 seconds. So I made it quite easy on myself, because it's very clear, you know. So if I would normally expose for 1 minute, it's there 5 or 6 times. I mean, it's a Bortle 2, if you ask me. I mean, the Milky Way was just a bright band across the sky. It was just beautiful, and it's pretty much every night like that, except, you know, a few clouds once in a while. And this is just stacked and edited in DSS. I didn't do anything special. The resolution is not that great. I mean, the stars, I have to say, the Milky Way was actually kind of low below the horizon, above the horizon, sorry. So, and this is in the Milky Way, of course, right? So, I mean, close enough. So that would have had some effect. And maybe the focusing, I did focus. And
what I like about it is the color of the stars.
Yeah, the colors are pretty.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
How do you
maybe it's all the drugs I had as a kid, but this has almost a 3-dimensional quality in towards the center of that image.
And here's the lagoon.
Oh, wow. Lagoon. Wow.
Hey, how is it that you focus? Do you use a Bahtinov mask?
No, I use an autofocuser. So I've got an electric focuser now. And ECOS has a thing where it just, you know, you can zoom in on a single star and it will just try to make that one as small as possible. You can also use the whole window, but I usually do it that way. And
what is this one?
This
the lagoon.
Is the lagoon. The lagoon.
And mate.
Oh my God.
It's pretty. I love the different colors.
I've never seen the lagoon like this.
That's so pretty.
Yeah, I've seen it before.
And you can see those globules in there too real well. I love that.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's
But having a fan is
that's pretty
everywhere.
And this is the Swan, all the Omega Nebula.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's always an easy target. It's very bright, so you know. I just thought I'd just do the 4 that I know well. I've done these before, and I have to say the quality of these images is not better than what I get with my AVX.
Griffin, yeah.
Ooh.
So
Griffin is always so pretty.
Yeah, it's always pretty. Yeah.
Which camera was this with?
After a lot of struggling and messing around with, you know, all this computer-controlled stuff, you know, once you've got everything dialed in, it's really efficient. And you know, it was just last night I got it all together, and the polar alignment using plate solving worked, and then the regular alignment and so on, and I could go all over the place and just start showing.
Mike was wondering what scope you have, Bink, on this.
This is a 12-inch Newt, but like I just said, I can get equally good images with my 6-inch Mac Newt on an AVX. So I haven't really gotten to the level that where I want to be. So I need to work on
This
tracking.
is with the 2600.
Yes.
Is it
Yes, it's with the 2600. So yeah. Yeah, there's one really weird thing happened with the 2600. I had everything set up and want to start shooting image. So I had first done the plate solving for polar alignment, plate solving for focusing, and got all that working. I was ready to take pictures. So I go to the photo tab, and I click photo. I take an image. 1 second, fine. I change the exposure time to 10 seconds to see how the tracking is, and it refused. And I couldn't get anything working after that. And so it was so treacherous because at first it seemed to work because I use the same camera for all these other operations. And then I found out the next morning that if you don't have the cooler plugged into the AC 2600, it will not do, it will start doing these weird things. I thought the cooler was just a totally separate unit, and I wanted to save the battery, so I just unplugged it. But apparently it doesn't like that. But anyway, that was, yeah, that cost me one night. Just little things like that.
Well, you could probably turn down the cooler to save on the battery, right?
Well, but what you can do is you can plug it in and then turn it off through the user interface, and that's what I'll be doing. So, I mean, it was cold enough there. I didn't really need the cooling. But yeah, anyway, so that's that. But it was fun just, you know, setting it all up, and I got some good practice. It was fun to be there with those people. It was a small group, and we did some presentations. So we had a group like, you know, 5 people at the most or so. So it's kind of silly.
Nick, was this a 10-second image here?
10-minute image. So, okay, well, that's pretty much all I had to say.
Nice. Very nice.
Yeah. Oh, we also hiked the Kaibab trail. Actually, it was kind of fun. We went down 2,200 feet. It's not that far, but yeah, I was with company. I think last time with my son, I went down almost 4,000, no, 4,380, more than that actually, feet. That was tough. Next time I'm going to cross it. So yeah, and it's beautiful there. I mean, there's lots of driving around and vista points, and I didn't see any buffaloes this time. Last time I was there were buffaloes, but they were in hiding, and they're gonna shoot them off because they're not all of them, but there are too many of them right now. So they already moved some of them out of the area.
You don't want to get there. You don't want to be there when they're running.
No,
because they'll kill you.
Yeah. You have to stay away from them. It's even scary when they're on the road and you have to wait for them. You never know what they're gonna do.
They're very dangerous.
Yeah. Anyway, that's it now.
Very nice.
Very pretty.
Yeah. And so the visitors, the visitors of the lodge did some. They came to visit telescope. So Gene had his 22-inch Dobsonian. It was an ultra compact obsession, and it was brand new for him. And he had ordered it with setting circles, with digital setting circles, with encoders and with motors. He got the encoders working, so he could do a push 2 in the end. I haven't seen the motors working, but that was the next thing that he was trying to do. The manual was kind of hard to understand. It was just a few pages that printed out and not much help, but he figured it out eventually. And there were a few SCTs, and yeah. But there was, every evening there was like tens of people. So sometimes one night there was probably 50 people, and another night maybe some 10. It depends upon how many visitors there are at the lodge. So yeah, I enjoyed it, and I'll probably go next year again. It's a nice place to be.
How long a drive was it? Did it take you 2 days there?
So we left at 6:15 here, and we got there before 5 o'clock, and we took like maybe 2 hours of rest or so. It's about 9 hours pure driving time. On the way back, I took the wrong turn. So at Fredonia, you have to turn left, but I didn't have my GPS on, and I accidentally went through Zion, so there was 2 hours extra. But actually, it's very pretty, that road that goes through Zion. So I enjoyed that. It's Highway 9. It goes through all these canyons and so on. It's just unbelievable. So it was okay. We got here before dark.
You went through that tunnel in the granite, huh?
Yeah, there is a tunnel. Yeah, and oh man, we had to wait there for a very long time. It's a tunnel that's basically large enough, wide enough for 2 cars, so they can go in both directions. But now everybody needs to have an RV or whatnot, and so there are some vehicles that are just too large. So they decided to just make it a one-way traffic, so that everything is 10 times or 100 times slower. And this time there was actually a car that was too big for the tunnel, or it got stuck. So we were waiting forever, and all of a sudden out comes this car, and behind that a whole bunch of other cars. It was just terrible. So they should put a sign up, far away, like, okay, if you have this kind of car, or if it exceeds these dimensions, you can't come in. That would solve the whole problem, But instead,
if it's that big a car, though, you probably can't turn it around on the mountain roads to not go through.
Right. So that's why the sign has to be far enough away.
Way back. Yeah.
But that's easy to do. I mean, if you make it clear. But you're right. Once they get through the tunnel, they can't turn around. So they would have to build a turnaround area. But it's just intolerable almost. I mean, there's so many people. Well, the good part is, if you make it easy for people to get there, then you'll have more and more people. So maybe it is a good thing to make it visible.
Yeah.
So.
Hey Hank, can I ask you a question on the encoders on the obsession? Is that the kind that you plug in whatever target you need, and then when you start moving it move right or left, and then it goes to 0 when you're on it?
Right. So the first thing that Gene had to do is he had to align it. So he had to put the obsession in a vertical position, and the numbers. Then he had to see the number 90 for altitude and 0 for azimuth or something like that. And then you press the button or something, and it's calibrated basically. So And then you have to, well, it's calibrated in some sense, but then you have to pick 2 stars and you push it to it and you hit the button, a line or something like that. And if you have 2 stars, and then it's good enough to work with. So yeah, it just sends the position, and it's there's a control on it, and the controller gets the A to D values of whatever position it has and tells you what it's pointing at. And so it'll tell you go up or go down, turn, go left or right. So that's how you can use the encoders by itself if you want to push it. And
Okay.
if you have the motors hooked up, then you can actually do a go to, and it automatically goes there.
Wow.
It took him a few years to figure out. Yeah, that's a nice. Yeah, so I have to say, okay, so one of the disadvantages of that system is when he had to collimate it, he had to just basically lie in the dirt, because these obsessions, they have a large mirror and a short tube, but the balance is not all that great, because the point of balance is actually a little bit further in than it should be. And so once you push the scope down, it will want to go back up. So in order to, or I think it was just the other way around actually. So if you push it down, then it'll keep going down. So he had to hook up some bungee cords for the balance. And for some reason, when he wanted to collimate it, he does it with the scope straight up. I'm not sure what the philosophy there was. I would never do it that way, but he did it. And as a result, he had to lie in the dirt to move the screws at the bottom.
Wow, I hope you don't drop anything on the secondary.
I know. I mean, that's why I would never do it that way. So I asked him once, why don't you do it horizontal? And yeah, I didn't. He was mumbling something. I never got that answer.
The trusses, the trusses flex. You can actually, if you're using a laser collimator, you can actually put it on the center spot. And if the trusses aren't if they're not engineered right, you can actually, as you slew it up and down, you can actually see that laser dot move. So he wanted to collimate it straight up, so he knew he had that right. But I mean, I just go to where you're going to be all night and collimate it there.
I mean, you run the risk that you drop something on the mirror, right?
So on there when you're done.
Yeah.
So, but these trusses were stiff enough. It was an F3 mirror actually, so it's wow. Yeah.
That's fast.
Oh, it said F4 in the thing there, but this is F3. Oh, wow.
I thought it was an F3.
Yeah,
I thought it said that.
I saw F4 in the thing that was shown.
Oh, really? Okay.
F3, but
yeah.
I'd have to check again. I thought it was a pretty short tube actually. I mean, I could well, if it wasn't quite too high, I could actually see through it. Gene is much smaller than me, so he had more trouble with it. We used the latter, and I have to say, you know, I could not see color through that scope, and that was a bit of a disappointment, because at the RTMC I looked through a 28-inch telescope and Dob, and with a good mirror. It was just a do-it-yourself thing, but I could see color in M51, and I couldn't see it here. So and all the all the stars were I had expected to see some color, but everything just looked stark white. I'm not sure if there's a reason for that. And the stars seemed a little larger than I would like to see it. I mean, you can see nebula as fine filaments and so on, but the stars seemed like to dominate quite a bit. I don't know if that has anything to do with the quality of the optics. So I wasn't that impressed with the telescope, but you know, it sure catches a lot of light.
Now, I just want to mention to everyone about microphones and laptops. I noticed on my laptop, there's 3 different settings. One is private, one is shared, and one's environmental. And if I set it to private and I lean off to one side, my voice kind of disappears. So you might want to check when you're talking into your laptops or computers, if there's some sort of settings on the microphone, whether it's, you know, very direct or whether they give you a wider field of things. So when you lean one way, your voice doesn't get cut off. Just as a heads up for checking that out. You know, you can do a test with your microphone on the Zoom when you first log in, and you can test and lean around and see if your voice gets distorted or not.
We could barely hear your comment, Jerry, that you were making.
Who, me?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What comment was I making?
When we were talking about whether it's F3 or F4.
Oh,
So I see.
How about now?
Did I miss out on the pom-poms behind you, Tom, or what's going on with that right there?
That's my sister's artwork. It's a jellyfish, a bunch of jellyfishes that are supposed to go up and down mechanically, and she's an artist of some sort. So that's one of her things that she came up with.
Okay,
a lot of work, but
yeah, I can imagine.
I'm dialing in from Michigan, so this doesn't seem like there's any delay on the voice or video, so seems pretty amazing with the speed of light's pretty cool.
Yeah. I can show you some of my stuff here. Let's see here.
Now I see Joseph's iPhone is there. Joseph, we saw his video there. I did mute Joseph at one point because he seemed like he's bringing up a lot of environmental background noise, so I did put the mute on him, but I guess he's having trouble connecting to the audio at the moment and video.
So this one here is one of the ones I got from the last lunar cycle, and it's centered up on Unakalhe, I think is the name of it, Serpentis. I showed you guys the pre-processed stuff last time. This is processed. I finally got it processed, and I'm actually very impressed with the way that it came out. The stars are really good. I took Mike's comment to heart a little bit on the stars when you guys were looking at Mizar and you couldn't find the double star. So here's Arcturus, and you can see the stars. You can see how that large structure masking is there, but it's not quite so intense. The Milky Way came out pretty good. This blue guy right here, that's all sky glow from light pollution, but you can see the constellations pretty good. I toned down that large structure masking so that, you know, let's say, for example, Corona Borealis, you can pretty much see the constellation stars there. You can make out, there's M13 right there. You can always tell these guys because they don't have the points, see? They don't have the points like the stars do. M5 is right there. So it's really nice. There's the Antares region down in here. Milky Way came out good. Was not able to do, I did background neutralization, but was not able to do photometric color cal because it has to do plate solving to do that. The problem with plate solving and small, you know, let's say short focal length, fisheye effect, is modeling the database in the same way that the lens does. So if you're not looking at the data in the same way that the lens does with the lens's distortions, then you can't plate solve. And the fact that the stars came out so good in this, they're very, very sharp, almost like what you would get with the Red Cat. That has a lot to do with keeping this thing fixed while you're doing it, because otherwise you're going to start getting fuzzy stars. I'm sorry?
Which lens and focal ratio?
This is a 24 millimeter f1.4 Rinconen lens, stopped at f4. And I took, it's at ISO 800, 6-minute exposures. This is about 20 frames. I had another night of frames, but we had a fire north of us and the stuff was just all smoked out. I just couldn't use it. But the color cal came out pretty good anyway. It usually does come out pretty close right after just doing a background neutralization. Your Milky Way looks pretty much there. The stars are just incredible. I couldn't believe it when I saw it. It's the best I've ever done with this lens. I've never done anything this good. It's also uncropped too, by the way. There's no crop in this image at all. So it's full frame.
Dick, can I ask you a question? Does the airport keep its lights on all night long?
The only thing that I got over there that's really a big, huge problem is that stupid freaking beacon. Because the beacon comes around and it's really low. Now, where I shot that image was out on the observatory pad. Okay, so, and it's pretty exposed without the observatory, you know, and I can see that light come around. I've got a direct line of sight to that beacon from that point. And you can actually see the thing flashing off the tube of the telescope when it comes around. So the whole deal here is you got to keep that scope east of the meridian, and to keep that light from entering into the tube, because once it starts going down that tube, it's really going to get squirrely from then on. So the other thing that I'm going to share with you right here is the results of the mosaic. The mosaic is not all the way. It's just pre-processed into mosaic form at this point right now. So I'll share that right there. So this is row of Fucus, and it's a 4-panel mosaic. I just got it put together. I spent about an hour trying to get this panel down here. That's the first 2, 3, and 4. This panel here was a son of a gun because I couldn't find enough cumulative star matches so that it could match it up to format how this goes. There's two parts to what you got to do here. First, you have to create a template, and the template is the whole size of everything put together. Then you've got to take each of those panels and create reference plates that show where those panels are in relationship to that template. Okay, and then once all that's done, you do a gradient merge mosaic. And what that does is it goes through and it blends everything so that you don't have the edges and everything. So you can, as you can see, if you go in on this guy right here, you don't see any lines. So that's the whole point in doing it right there. Plus the fact that you get the smaller star images. This was shot with an NP127IS teleview, and that's at about f5.2. They are 7-minute exposures at ISO 800, and on average about 36 frames per panel. There's only one panel, the one panel with Antares in it down here. That panel right there, I only could get about 20.
Oops, did we lose Dick there? We lost Dick, I guess, at the moment. Can someone remind me, where is this Rho Nebula? Where is this thing?
I'm sorry?
Oh, okay. Maybe I'm the one who got cut off, perhaps. Let's see, I'm moving.
To show, I'll have that probably processed by next week, and you can see everything there. But boy, I was really super happy with the 24mm stuff. I finally figured it out.
Good.
It's just great.
Getting good results.
Thank you.
So Dick, have you ever used Microsoft Ice for stitching pictures? And
no.
Okay.
The only thing that I've done is just with PixInsight.
Okay.
In PixInsight, they basically, it's not, I don't know if you'd call it plate solving, but what they're trying to do is you have a reference frame that you start with. When you build the template, you just take arbitrary your first panel. Okay, right. And then you have another panel over here, and basically, let's say your second panel. And what you do with those is you make the first panel your reference, and the second panel is the one that you're trying to transform. And then that second panel becomes 2 panels. Oh, then you use that for your reference frame, and then you make your third panel. Then you use that for your reference frame, and then you make your fourth panel. That's how you build the template. And then once the template's built, then you have to reference each of those frames to that template, and then you do your gradient merge mosaic.
Okay. Yeah, I can show you something that I did with. Okay, share screen. Okay, let me see. Okay, here. So this is an image. Can you see it? Oops, cancel.
Let's see.
Can you see this?
Yeah, the tracker. Yeah.
No, not with the tracker. This is just.
Well, it says astrophotography without a tracker is what it says.
Well, okay, call it what it is. But this is just a mosaic. I think I used 2 bands across the sky. So these are the Toronto Pinnacles by Ridgecrest.
It's pretty.
I just used a tripod to shoot one horizontal band from left to right, and then I went up one notch, and then I went back the other way, and you just pass these individual images to Microsoft Ice, and it just stitches it very nicely.
That is pretty.
Yeah, this one came out kind of nice. And this is at the Alabama Hills, similar to that one.
So how many panels? How many plates is that, or panels are those?
Okay, so this one, if I remember it right, I think I took 4 or 5 bands vertically. So you start somewhere to the left at 45 degrees, then you go up to the vertical, and then you go down, and then you go turn a little right, go back up, and so on. So probably 25, 30 images.
Wow.
The one thing that you have to watch out for is if you use raw images, then of course you've got the angle of the light. So you have to actually correct. So you have to take a flat. And what I did was I stacked every individual image by itself with a flat in DSS. So I got the vignetting correct, and then pushed it through Microsoft Ice. But Microsoft Ice it's pretty damn good.
Now, on that ICE program, when it does the stitching, is it doing cumulative star matches, or it must not be doing that then, huh?
Well, honestly, I don't know exactly. I don't want to be too critical, because if you forget a panel, and I think there might be one missing here. Or it could be a different picture, but it actually fills it in with stars that look good enough so people don't notice it.
Okay, all righty, okay. Yeah, wow.
I like that kind of thing.
That's neat.
But it works pretty smooth, actually. And yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, anyway, so I thought I'd just mention that. But Microsoft Ice, and it also shows you all kinds of perspectives, like Mercator perspective or whatever, all kinds of elliptical or cylindrical things that you can choose from. And it's quite fun to use. Anyway, I thought it.
Okay.
Is that ICE as an ICE?
ICE, yeah.
Okay.
Microsoft Ice. I forgot what it stands for. Yeah, the one from the yeah. Oops, what happened here? Okay, well, something went wrong. Okay, I'm done. So
I just took over, and I'm showing the Microsoft Image Composite Editor.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Oh, that's what it is. Okay.
I forgot what it meant.
Yeah.
You can download it for free, and it works. Yeah, it works really well. I love using it for landscapes.
Huh.
Yep.
When you took the picture, Hank, you said it sounded like you had panels, but it also sounded like you went from left to right, then you went up a click and you went right to left, and then it stitched it all together for you.
Yes. Yes.
So how do you know how far to go over? To the next panel.
You just have to make sure that you have enough overlap, that there are no gaps.
Overlap.
And even if there are gaps, it'll figure it out, and it'll fill it in with some pattern that
Wow.
looks like the ceramic.
That's pretty amazing.
It probably would work best if there's like a 30% overlap or something like that, I think.
Yeah.
That's what I did on mine on that mosaic was 30. And they're recommending 10 to 20%.
Yeah, but it sounds like it's easier to use, because I really don't have to tell it, it's this big and put this one there, but it figures it out. So
figures that out. Yeah, that's neat.
Something interesting might be is to use that, keep your camera at the same spot and take an exposure every 10, 15 minutes and see if it stitches it together in a dark site.
Yeah, so the problem is with this kind of technique, if you have a lot of pictures, you really have to move, because the sky is moving, and you get in trouble with the horizon if you don't do it right. So you don't want to wait too long. I think I took like 20-second images at 6400 ISO for those.
No, I was going to say look up and only see the part of the sky you want to do, and let it go across, take an image.
Oh, okay.
Every 10 minutes. So.
So who's got another 15 minutes worth of talk to put in here? Anybody got anything else?
I don't know. Did I show people my light pollution pictures last time? I can't remember.
With the filters, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All the different filters, okay.
Yeah.
If you want, I can show you a little bit of this guitar just for 5 minutes.
Okay.
I was talking with Joe Doyle this last week, sharing information on with Joe about he was going up to Pinos, and at the same time he was trying to finish a cabinet in his van. So we were talking about shellac, and one of the things I was using shellac for on this guitar was putting a wash coat on, so that when you do any of the chisel work on it, it won't catch an edge and pop the grain up and everything. But I highly recommend for making telescopes.
Tim, what are you doing forming a guitar with a chisel?
What I'm doing right now, the phase I'm in right now is really hard. I'm not really liking it. It's really delicate work. I've literally built the box, and I put the sides and the top plate and the bottom plate on, but then you have to actually go into your edges and you put purfling and binding. And just to go back a little bit and explain, on the inside of the guitar, there's liners that are called curved liners. It's a piece of wood that's been sawed several times, and you glue that in. It's a reinforcement on the inside, and that's how you glue these curved pieces together. So what ends up happening after you do all this, you have to support the edges of the guitar for the finished product, and that requires that you go ahead and start chiseling out sections of the rim of the guitar, and you're chiseling out the sides that you've already glued in, and you go right back into the curved liners. It's really delicate work, and it's freaky. It's really freaky. This is the end result today. Then I got done with putting this liner in, but I spent at least 2 days on chiseling out the channel. Hard to see in this, but the channel where the binding is, which is that brownish line, that's koa, a Hawaiian wood. And the koa is there's a purfling that you can't really catch that's on the bottom of the guitar. It's to the inside of that binding. And so what you do is you have to create a stepped ledge, and they have a wonderful tool called a grammel, and you literally have a knife that you can set on this tool called a grammel, and you set it on the guitar, and this scored knife goes right around the edges on the top and on the sides, and it creates a line that you're going to be chiseling away. And it's really delicate. And in gluing it, if you have that other image you could show, you can see where you glue the thing up, and you can see the tape that I have. It's a paper tape, and when you glue the thing up with the heat that was out there today, it was really gnarly. You had to really rush and really have to go fast, and then you put the glue into these channels, and then start taping it up with this brown paper tape, pulling it as hard as you can, and then you put it on a form that I also made, and you wrap this stuff that's called a twill tape. It's just a cotton tape that has a herringbone pattern, and you wrap it around to create a clamping for your liners. But in the heat today, it was really, really it was really tense. And of course, I missed the end where you have to finish exactly. I did send Tom later another image which shows a channel that you have to cut, and it's down towards the neck, and you have to cut a 2 millimeter channel. And I don't have a 2 millimeter yet. I don't really have a 2 millimeter chisel yet. It's on the way. So I ended up taking a piece of an aluminum, and there's the one right there. I think that's it. And then yeah, you can see the channel there that I cut. And you need like a 2 millimeter chisel to cut that channel out. And then the binding, it actually is, you have to create a fit that's actually pretty tight. And as a matter of fact, when I glued this in, I had to take a piece of wood. It was actually a popsicle stick, and then pound it in so it bottomed out. And then once you've done this side that I've done, you can see where it's painted. I painted this shellac over the top of this. I'll tell you, I really learned a lesson in this stuff. And Joe and I were going back and forth on this, is that in making telescopes, I used tung oil, and it's a gooey mess, especially on nights that there's a lot of dew. And we both agree that if you get a shellac and you can cut it so it's really thin, and you put a thin coat of shellac on whatever you're going to use. If you're making a daub that's got a any wood on it, put that shellac on first. Really do that, and then after that, maybe a polyurethane. See where you can see in here where I cut you can see where I cut into the curved liners, and those little holes are where I'm actually going through into the little holes that are slots in the liner. It's freaky because if you go in too far, the whole top collapses and you're done. You're just done. And you can see on where I ended my binding, there's a line there that I was supposed to come to, and I'm like I'm about a 1/16 of an inch off. So this isn't going to look great. I've even thought about taking a small piece of ebony and put it in between here. But, first guitar, don't worry about it. But I don't know how the whole thing, the whole point is that I'm not doing the telescope right now. I'm kind of going through these really tough areas. What I will be doing is mounting. I wanted to also share this, is I want to take measurements on that on my tester, which is going to require I put some more resistors in there. The light is just not dim enough. And Bruce gave me these really nice transparencies that have slits in them, and they're all these they get narrower, narrower. And I think I've got to choose one that's going to be the right one, because I'll probably glue it onto the LED. And so when you got it, it's done. But I'm going to probably need to put another resistor in line so I can dim it out a lot more. And then I want to put that mirror that I have as is into the telescope I made, and then take it out and just look at the moon. Maybe take a couple of shots with it, and then maybe a good bright star, Mike, where I can take some shots inside and outside focus. Maybe I can get some diffraction grading, and diffraction patterns, so we can take a look at those. But I don't think I'm done with it. But it's nice, like Jerry said, find out where you're at right now and then move on from there. But until then, I've been working on this guitar really hard. And instead of getting easier, it gets harder. It just keeps getting harder. The next step after this is I have to put a fingerboard on. And the fingerboard, of course, with all the frets, it's really important that you have your fret spacing right. I found out one thing about it that's really weird, is that from the first fret to the 12th, there's your octave right there. That's halfway. It's halfway from the bone, from the bone to the 12th fret, and from the 12th fret to the saddle, that's the other half. Yeah. But you have to add 2 millimeters from the 12th fret to the saddle where the bridge is, because when you press down on the strings, it bends the note enough that if you don't add that 2 millimeters, your note is going to be all off. So I'm kind of expecting that I'll finish this guitar, and then I'm going to play a chord with it and go, oh, maybe I should go back and do astronomy. So I'm almost expecting that's what's going to happen, but it sure has been fun trying. Anyway, that's it. I just wanted to share those.
If your note is off, can't you just tighten or loosen the string? Is it the relationship?
No, you have to.
It's a relationship. Yeah, you have to keep the relationship.
Okay.
All the way across.
What you can do though, Jerry, is on the saddle, which is on the bridge side, you can take a file and you taper the bone saddle to one edge. Like to say, you're gonna if you're looking up towards the neck, you're gonna taper file that saddle in that direction. And what that does is actually lengthen the string just enough that you might be able to recapture your intonation. Huh. But other than that, no, you may have to really take the thing off and reposition it, which is one of the reasons I may be trying to use hide glue. And the beauty of hide glue, there's two things. Hide glue is really fast. You better be ready. You better have everything in front of you ready, because when you put it on there, it's going to set fast. And it's reversible. That's the beauty of it. You can actually go in with hot water, heat, and then you can take it off and then start again, reposition. The guy that built my first guitar, he was off by 8 millimeters. So he had to call me and say, "Oh, Tim, I'm really sorry. I missed the placement of the bridge." And you could see locator pins in the top of the guitar. And he said, "What do you want me to do with this?" You know, and I just spent $4,000 on the thing, and I just was going, "Oh, wow, great. You know, what do we do?" And he came up with a little design that he glued over the top of those locator pins, and he moved the entire bridge. That came out right, came out perfect. But it gets into some really neat facets when you get down to the sound and the pitch, the intonation. And they're using something, maybe you guys know, it's called Helmholtz, the Helmholtz curve.
Oops. Just lost everything here. I see myself. I don't see anybody else.
So how can you spend
Yeah,
$4,000
on the theater, use hide glue all over the place. To glue leather to the wood, to every place.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about.
So on the intonation, why can't you, it seems to me, you could get something underneath that string, get yourself a chromatic tuner, and just move that thing up as if it's a fret to where you want it, okay? And so that you get the right note off the chromatic tuner, see? And then you're there. And then you put your fret right there.
Oh yeah, well the frets, once you, but the thing is, Dick, is that when you're putting a neck on the guitar, you're going to be cutting slots in that neck. And when you cut the slots in the neck, they're positioned.
No, but what I'm saying is use the tool to find out where to cut the slots. See, each of those guys with a chromatic. I mean, I don't know. I'm just throwing it out. I'm just, you know, like with a chromatic.
That's a good point. I'm going to have to really look into that because that's the next step after where I'm at. That's what's going to happen. I have to glue the fingerboard in, and then the fun really begins because you're not really done by just putting the fingerboard in the right place. You have to have the right action. You know, the height of the string over the fret. That gets crazy.
Right. And also the bone has to be right too, because if the bone is not right, then the strings has to be tapered just right, or it's not going to work.
Well, that's a good thing though, because if you have a piece of bone that you can either put a new piece of bone in there because it's loose in the saddle. It's real loose.
They fashion the bone.
Oh yeah, and you can cut those down, or you can make them taller. Yeah. You can do all those things to it.
One of the things whale bone sometimes too. They really actually use whale bone in those things.
Yeah, I don't know what the bone is. I've got a couple, but you know, some bleached, some unbleached. It's just, you know, it's a whole thing coming up. I go a little at a time, but the process is really neat, and like telescope building, you know. The first time around is freaky because everything you're doing is new. And so you're kind of taking that step into the unknown, but it's nice when a plan works, it's kind of cool. You want to pop open the beer.
What is this that we're looking at here?
Yeah, what is that?
Well, I went back. This is a picture I took from Figueroa Mountain of the Milky Way. It's a 205-degree field of view.
Wow.
You can see the lights of Santa Barbara on the left and the lights of Santa Maria on the right. And there's a little dotted line going through. This is a collage of 7 pictures.
Wow.
Nice.
It's horizontal, right? What if you flipped that?
It's overhead.
It's 180.
It's 205-degree field of view.
205 degrees. Okay.
Right through the zenith.
Oh. Wow. Oh, wow. That is cool, Bruce.
Neat. I like it.
Yeah, Tom put this up as our bookmark several years back.
That's really neat.
Rudy.
But because of the light pollution, our sky is not black, it's blue at night. The camera sees blue. We don't see blue in dim light, but so that's overhead it's
Rayleigh scatterings.
Right. Well, no thank you to LED streetlights because they have their major output is blue.
Oh, wow.
Huh.
Yeah, on Saturday, I'd been to an outreach. I've forgotten exactly what day, what date and month this was, but and we had it out to Bacara, and it was an exceptionally clear, nice night. And Sunday looked like it was going to be the same, so I packed up and drove to Figueroa Mountain. This was done with my DSLR on top of my scope, so I was tracking. But it was, you know, I used a Nikon 10mm lens.
Oh, wow.
And
Bruce,
these are not,
red?
there wasn't any stacking here. These are 7 individual pictures that I pasted together in Photoshop.
What's the red ground? What is the red from?
Oh, I have a little red LED underneath my mount that illuminates the tray under my mount where my stuff is. So that's the light from that LED that was illuminating the foreground, you know, 50 feet away.
It doesn't really hurt it, does it?
No, no, but it actually gives some definition to the foreground, so I left it in there.
Yeah, yeah. And the streak is what?
I didn't understand you.
What is the streak in the over towards San Diego?
Well, that's an airplane. A little streak.
Yeah.
If you zoom in, you'll see that the individual dots is the whatever you are, the clearance lights or the lights on the ends of the wings. You know, they flash as the airplane goes along. Yeah, I could have taken that out, but I left it in. I thought it also was kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Took me a while to get to this. So you were already off your Milky Way picture.
Rudy.
It's easier to
We're
hold
getting that much. We're getting.
I was going to say it's easier to hold a bookmark over your head than your laptop.
Yeah, right. This is pretty much an overhead view.
Yeah, I still have the bookmark.
Yeah, I have one right here, but it doesn't have the. See, Tom cropped this so the red doesn't show on the bookmark, and it also doesn't have the color intensity that you get with. You know, the print doesn't quite get the color intensity you get in the.
You have to print high res.
Yeah.
You have to print high res, and that's the biggest problem. Is that most of the time.
Well, this was printed, CGFK or whatever. You know, the four the colors for the inks that they use.
Mm-hmm.
K is black, and then cyan, magenta, yellow, CMYK.
Yeah.
So you don't get quite the color expanse that you get with RGB.
Jerry, is there advantage in using RGB versus the CMYK stuff? And how does that work with cameras and coming out with astrophotography?
Well, it's just a different system. They both give very good results. If you look at astrophotography from the Adam Block series of things, he starts out in RGB and then he switches to the one that Bruce mentioned, because
CMYK.
Yeah, it gets you different view of the colors, and it's sometimes I have trouble with that in understanding the color wheel or using the color wheel. If there's a color that's made up of something else that's wrong in my picture, it's easier to get at it with the other CMYK than it is sometimes with RGB. But you have to use your own experience of whether you think that's going to work better for you or not. So if I can't get the right color balance in RGB, I use something else. Photoshop makes them available.
Yeah, I do all of my work in RGB, and then I finally convert it to CMYK at the end.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was taught to do.
And it loses, at times it loses something. It loses the color, the vivid colors.
The saturation?
Yeah, saturation.
Yeah, you can boost that and recover them.
Oh yeah, that's Control U. Oh, that's right. This I forgot. This is what, more than 5 years ago now. Well, I could look it up on my big computer here. So the lights that you see from Santa Barbara and Santa Maria are principally yellow because their street lights at that point in time were sodium vapor.
Sodium vapor, yeah.
Yeah, they hadn't polluted the night sky with the LED street lights.
So it'd be bluer now, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it just ruins the night. I just have to, well, Figueroa Mountain is pretty good dark sky, but I haven't been there in a while. We've been going up to East Camino Cielo. And I think last Tuesday I talked about this, that it was overcast down here, which gave us just a superb dark sky because all the lights from Goleta were muted by the overcast. And we were above it, so we didn't have to, we got good viewing. Sometimes it's a little hard to get aligned because there are so many stars that I can't quite decide which one it is that's supposed to be my alignment star.
We're on East Camino Cielo. Is that near the top where there's a, where you kind of come around a big, large curve and there's a dirt pad out to the right?
Well, it's out to the left. Where we go is, well, you go past the Arroyo Burro Road, which goes down, and then you keep going. And I think it's about 2 miles. There's a big cement water cistern there for fire, and it's on the right, and it's up on top of a knoll of a hill, and down below that is a flat area, and the hill kind of shields us from the wind if there is any. Last week when we were up there, we had no wind, absolutely zero wind. It was wonderful. Not last week. Last week was terrible.
Yeah,
we had 20-mile-an-hour winds. The week before that.
This is East Camino Cielo or West Camino Cielo?
East Camino Cielo.
The gun club is to the west. It's the other way.
Okay. He said the cistern, and I mean, I know there's a cistern on West Camino.
Yeah, they have one out there too.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not familiar with that on East Camino Cielo. I've always been interested in going up in that area, but I never spotted any place that you wouldn't get bombarded with lights from cars.
Well, yeah, the place we set up, because of this hill where the cistern is up on top, we can set back a little bit, and East Camino Cielo in this area is straight. So we park our cars such that they block the light from the road, and we don't see so the lights don't bother us.
Oh, that sounds cool.
Plus, there aren't that many, like when we were up there, like this last Friday. I don't think in the total time we were there that more than, I don't know, 6 cars came by.
Now, are you going up Gibraltar or up San Marcos Pass?
We go up 154 up to the top, and then the turn off for East Camino Cielo.
Turn right and go down there toward Gibraltar.
Yeah, you turn right, then you're on that road, and pretty soon you come to the turnoff for Painted Cave. Well, you don't go that way; you go the other way.
Right.
And that winds around and up, and then it finally comes down a little bit, and you go past the parking for Knapp Castle, and then you keep going down, and there's another parking area for Arroyo Burro Road, which goes down to the left, and you keep going, and I don't know, it's only probably 2 miles past that junction.
Wow. Oh, okay.
It's at 3,300 feet.
Okay. Maybe I'll take a ride.
3,308.
Yeah, I'll go take a ride up there and see if I can find it.
Well, I'll let you know the next time we go. I mean, Charles Schuler and I go up. He works during the week, so he's limited to Fridays and Saturdays.
Yeah.
and so we go up, you know, where on those Fridays and Saturdays that are near the new moon. Like this last week, we got 2 opportunities, 2 weeks ago, and then last week, or last Friday, I should say. But I think it's one of the, there's another place we go, which is up on Farron Road, which is a little closer. That's only at about 700 feet elevation, though.
But you can't get all the way to the end of Farron Road, can you? Because it's a private gate up there.
Oh yeah, but we don't want to go there. There's an area that we stop. There's a big, you know, a cleared area that's right. It's right near a phone pole.
Okay.
And so we parked there.
Okay.
And again, because it's not a private road. Well, it's a private road once you get to the end where the gate is.
Yeah.
But there are very few cars that come by there. We might have 3 cars in an evening, or 4. You know, here the LED streetlights just have clobbered the night sky from where I live.
Mm-hmm.
I can't do any astrophotography here. It's just wiped out.
That's too bad.
Well, is this what do they call it, Starlink? Is that gonna really be a real? Is it going to be something that's going to be kind of, these satellites are going to go by and then you'll have nice dark skies? Or is it going to be just so crowded we're going to get them all the time?
Well,
you see the airplane that went through my picture?
They are in low Earth orbit, so it's not too bad. And also, because, you know, they're in the shadow of the Earth. And also, these satellites are mostly bright in the beginning because they're still using the motors. And so that's what most of the complaints are about. So then you see those bright streaks across the sky. But if you have a stacker like DSS, that's just a free stacker, it will get rid of them because it takes multiple exposures of the same piece of sky. So if there's one that has a streak, then, you know, if you just use the median and then a certain, you know, set a certain bandwidth that you accept, then you'll definitely guaranteed get rid of this of the star trails. So for astrophotography, it's not a huge problem, but it is a big problem for you know, asteroid hunters like the LSST or the Rubin or whatever it's called now.
Or Chuck.
Well, it wouldn't bother me too much unless it happened to hit the same star an occultation was happening on. But it's really going to wipe out amateur, you know, really super amateur astrophotography, where people just want to take a nice picture and not do a lot of computer processing.
Right, right.
Well, if you take single exposures like the picture that I have here, this is a collage of 7, you know, pasted together, 7 exposures. That airplane that you see going through mine with the Starlink, you're going to have a whole lot of that sort of stuff.
Yeah. But if they
like I said, most Starlink satellites are dark. They're in the shadow. They're in the shadow of the Earth. Most of them, really.
Well, yeah, but
well,
the pictures that Mike Chibnik took and he posted here a week ago that he showed.
Okay.
I think it was a week ago.
Okay. Were the Krypton engines?
Yeah.
Yeah, he caught some.
The engines were still on, right?
I thought it was just reflected sunlight.
I doubt it, because
the engines were on all of them then.
That's very well possible. So for a couple of days in a row after they've launched the batch, these engines will be turned on. It takes a while.
There's somebody that did an analysis of not only Starlink, but all these other mega constellation ones that are going to go up. China's putting one up. The European Union's putting one up. Multiple commercial companies are putting them up. And he estimated it's going to increase sky brightness by somewhere between 2 and 5% because you'll have so many of them up there.
Huh.
Yeah. That's too bad. That's too bad.
No way of getting around it. That's progress.
Yeah.
Well, just remember GE, General Electric's motto, progress is their most important problem.
Maybe that's why they're not doing so well.
I still think that BFI is going to have a big business coming, getting rid of all that junk up there.
You know, the stuff that's way out there at high Earth orbit, this geosynchronous, they've got a parking orbit that's even higher. And that's where they send them to die. But low Earth orbit, they just have, you know, some of them, especially the ones that die, they just have to wait for them to, you know, get enough atmospheric friction that they come in, and we have no idea where they can come.
So I noticed that Galita was choosing about 3000 K lights, I think, as they're trying to aim for the LEDs. So that might be helpful. That's pretty close to the high pressure sodium, the 2200, I guess, for high pressure sodium. They'll be at I think they're 2900 or 3000 they were looking at for LEDs.
Well, I can, oh, go ahead.
Isn't their spectrum more continuous than the high pressure sodiums?
They are.
And they're doing that because there's a county ordinance that they have to go to that lower temperature. You just hope everybody abides by it.
The cities that are around Mauna Kea, they have yellow LED streetlights. Most of the streetlights, they start off with a bright blue LED, and then whatever phosphor they put on them fluoresces, and then they can modulate the overall light that they're going to put out. But if you take a look at the spectrum of those, there's a big spike in the blue, and then there's this broad band of illumination. Well, that blue light comes down, reflects off the pavement. Pavement's 16% reflective, goes up into the upper atmosphere. It's scattered because our atmosphere scatters blue light, and we don't have a black sky anymore. It's milk colored. Well, actually, if you take a picture of it, it's blue.
Okay.
I can find that. Well, let's go back to where I was. How do I get back there?
Your sound is coming in a lot better, Bruce.
Well, I have a headset and a microphone that's right near my lips.
Yeah, Bruce was explaining that it was a noise cancellating problem with the microphone. If you get it too far away, then it cuts out a lot, and he has to come back on.
Itself.
Yeah, it tries to cancel his voice.
Yeah, I take that stuff off, that noise cancellation. Just take it off.
Well, these only cost, I think, $18, this headset, like that. Okay, SD card.
Hey, Tom, you're showing up at the top here that it's cutting off part of the screen. Are you seeing that, or is that just my iPad?
Must be your iPad, because I can now, except when someone does a share screen, then only I only see 6 people when the share screen is on.
Okay.
But otherwise, I see 8 boxes on the screen.
I see 10.
Or 10, yeah, 10 boxes.
Speaking about double stars, we had a astronomy club meeting last night, and one of the members doesn't have an astro camera, but he's into double stars. And so he's got a 12.5-inch Orion Dobsonian. He's been taking really great images using afocal imaging with his eyepieces. And he had like about 30 different double stars, and he was getting really great resolution of close double stars. He was showing us 1 arcsecond double stars.
Oh.
And so for you guys with a lot of light pollution, you know, that's one thing to try. But I was surprised. He basically takes the movie and converts it into an AVI, goes through another process where he converts it into single images and then stacks them, and comes out with some pretty great images.
So is he moving the Dob as he's doing the video?
No, actually, he's getting it kind of centered and letting it traipse across there, and the stacking software goes ahead and stacks it.
What do you think his overall exposure time is?
I don't know. I'll talk to him about it. He's got a program that actually gets into the guts of the iPhone and allows you to change the exposure times. But it's probably, I would bet it's like 1/100th of a second or something like that.
Well, I'm thinking about how long does he video for?
Oh, and he uses wide field eyepieces and just lets it kind of, you know, drift across.
I tried to share a picture of LED light spectra of various different kinds. I don't know if that came up or not.
Yeah, well, someone showed it a while ago. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
With effective color temperatures.
All I'm seeing is winter video.
These are the spectra of various, although the color temperature is different. This is the spectrum of LED streetlights. LEDs come in many colors. The ones that are around Mauna Kea are yellow. In other words, you can see that's the second one down from the top. They
well, we're not.
They don't have blue.
We're not seeing that.
We're not seeing it.
Mike,
earlier.
Mike, did you put up
something up?
Mike, did you put up that February 2020 image? Is that yours? It says Winter Alberio, and
this says it's Mike or Bruce's.
It's Bruce's. Bruce has got it on.
I must have put the wrong one here.
Yeah.
Let's see. I need to get back to share.
You gotta stop sharing.
No, I'm gonna get out here. Come on. It's just showing them. Okay, so I want up. I guess go to Zoom. Come on, go here. Okay, why are we getting this?
It's one of your open windows somewhere. One of your documents is open.
Yeah. I'm trying to close that. Try again. Search. Okay, let's get out of here. Go back to Zoom. All right, how do I, maybe close that way. Oh, good, now. I want to go to Zoom. Oh, this thing's coming up.
Now we're all learning here.
Try stop sharing.
You're burning in your screen there, Bruce.
Well, I just close this, closing it. So I'm in File Manager, which is where I want to be. But come on.
You might go back to Zoom and stop share and then go back.
And try to get out of this that I'm in.
You could.
All right, there. They've got my main screen.
It's a sharing black hole.
Okay, I go back to Zoom because I want to sharing. Oh, there's this. Okay, how do I get out of this?
Up at the top, there should be a banner. Oh,
Now
wow.
it's
That's an iPad deal. I can tell you that much.
Stop share. That's what I'm going to do.
There you go. Stop share. You got it. We got it.
All right. Now, how do we get back there?
There you are.
Okay. Now, how do I get? Come on, something.
Show us
Then when you go share
video thing.
Okay, search. I want to go to File. I want to go, come on, open up.
You have to get the file up first, and then you go in there and you can share whatever window you have open.
Well, I'm sharing something from Twitter right now while Bruce is working on trying to find a window.
That's roll for you guy.
And so this guy says up in that right-hand corner, it says, just did a quick tracking test at Rho last night. Now, where is Rho? Where is that thing?
It's in Scorpio.
Well,
Scorpio.
see,
Oh,
that
is that Betelgeuse?
No.
no, that's Antares.
Oh, that's what I meant.
Antares, and you can see M4 up there.
Right there. No, you passed it.
Oh, there you go. That's M4, and then over there on the other side is Rho Ophiuchi, right there.
How'd you get this off Twitter? I didn't know Twitter did pictures.
Well, just people post their pictures on Twitter every once in a while. Some of the people I subscribe to.
Huh.
So that's just his image. I don't know if he can make it any bigger, probably as big as it gets. Anyway, so it was funny that Dick was talking about that and this guy had posted one also.
It's a beautiful area. It really is so pretty.
Yeah, what is that those dark patches? Is that just a bunch of hydrogen in the area, or
dark nebula? I would imagine
nebula?
probably, I'm going to say maybe hydrocarbon clouds or something like that. I don't know. Jerry might know more about it.
No, they're just the same stuff as other nebula. They're just not illuminated by reflection or by activation.
You think it's
pictures? There are some nebular pictures that show a region of the dust that's illuminated or red, and then it fades off to being a dark nebula farther away. I don't have a picture of one to show you, but I've seen that. The astro imaging that I'm most impressed with is where someone takes a region like Rho Ophiuchi that you had there, and they can actually resolve the dark nebula in shades of darkness, so it stands out from the background stars. It almost looks three-dimensional. That is very subtle processing.
Is that dynamic range you're getting from the cameras?
Well, it's what you're getting is you're processing and you're bringing out absolutely every piece of amplitude difference that is coded in your image.
Is that the same as dynamic range?
I think it would be more like a contrast enhancing thing.
Yeah, dynamic range is related, but dynamic range, of course, is how bright a star and how dim a star you can show at the same time. So without...
Did my spectrum share come up this time?
Not yet, we're waiting.
No.
Okay, well, I'll try again. I now know it's slide number 36, so I can get back to it easily. Okay. Come on.
I'm sure Bruce will get a new laptop one of these days.
Don't be so sure. I don't know. I don't want another computer. I'm trying to share. I need to get back to Zoom.
Take a look at, say,
share. And I want to share a photo.
Bruce is imitating an alien from outer space somewhere.
Bruce froze.
Yeah, he does look a little frozen there. Yeah. I thought it was hot.
File manager. Come on, open up. Well, you know, dub stands for in the address is wait. SD card, Astrophotos. Number 36 right there. I wonder if I got before when I put up that Milky Way, I just went to the same sequence. Like black green. Oh, there's Jerry. Okay,
started
I've lost
screen
it.
sharing, but we don't see anything, you know, and
There you go.
there we go. There it is.
Yeah, okay.
There you are.
All right, so you can see the various colors of LEDs. They have that band in the blue, but the second one from the top are the spectrum of the LED streetlights they have around Mauna Kea. The cities around, they start with the yellow LED. They don't start off with a blue LED. So they don't have that that pollution out there in the blue.
Yeah.
But see, if you go up, like at the very bottom, that's what? Having trouble reading that. 40, I guess I can make
4100.
4100.
The third one up from the bottom is the filtered LED that gets rid of the blue.
The filtered, right? But that costs money. I think they don't care.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, they don't care. That's
Well, if it costs money, I don't care either. Get it. We're worth it.
See,
but we're opposite ends of noodle. But the fact, see, that filter one has got the blue. They've just put a blue cut filter, but it's still got the blue. It's still a broad band of illumination.
Little bit.
You can't filter that out.
Yeah.
You know, whereas with the sodium vapor sites that they used to have, they had two spikes in yellow. I have a filter that'll notch that out. So I was able to add photography from my deck, even though it was a yellow LED or yellow sodium vapor site out front.
Well, I have a minus violet filter I guess I could use on our current sky and see how that works.
Yeah, get rid of because our atmosphere scatters blue light.
Yeah.
So you send blue light up there at night, guess what? Some of it comes back.
It's the same way in the universe. You know, you get the blues, the scattered stuff, you know, it's reflected light, and the red is the emitted.
But they aren't, that light is, you know, unique little lumps of things around. It's not the sky through which you're trying to look to see those things.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ironically enough, I read an article that on Mars, the sky is red during the day, and at sunset, where the atmosphere, you're looking through real thick atmosphere at the sun, the sky turns blue.
Yeah, I've seen pictures of that.
Yeah.
Well, maybe one can hope that somebody comes up with a super efficient laser RGB street light, and it'll be narrow band and 3 colors and look white, and we could filter it out.
Well, you know, there's a possibility there. My big screen TV is the quantum dot backlight. And there they start off with a blue LED. That's actually the backlight. And then the quantum dot layer has got quantum dots that there's a mixture of them. Some fluoresce in the green and some fluoresce in the red. So if you look at the spectrum coming off that quantum dot panel, there are 3 spikes in it. There's one of the blue, one of the green, and one of the red. So you don't have to have very narrow band filters over the light shutter layer of the panel. They can have a broadband filter because it's already been filtered. They just have to let through. They have to have filters that are good enough that the blue pixels don't see red and don't see green, and vice versa for the other 2 colors. Well, maybe they could do a similar thing in the streetlights. You know, they're not going to do that. It costs money, and you know. But if you were to provide streetlights that to the human eye look white, but they're composed of 3 very distinct bands, spikes, if you will, or peaks. One of the blue, one of the green, and one of the red. You can got a filter that notches those out, so then you get a dark sky. Just like you do with sodium vapor streetlights.
I remember hearing about a guy that wanted to filter the older streetlights by putting an LCD screen in front of his aperture that he could flip from opaque to transparent at the hertz rate of the power.
No. Get out of
120
here.
times.
No,
it's 120 times a second. Yeah.
Yeah, but he found out that the street lights were all on different timing circuits, even though the timing was precise, it was not synced.
Well, they're on three-phase, you know, like the high tension wires that run down my street are the three-phase wires, and we're on one of the phases, but other street lights in the area are on different phases. So, you know, it's three. Oh, that's the illumination of three phases put together never dips more than 4% under the max, because there's always one of the peaks is, you know, the 60 cycle peaks is up. Actually, that's not true. That's what happens if you do a full wave rectification of three phase. The ripple is 4%. But we don't have, so in other words, you have 6 peaks per 16 milliseconds per 1/60 hertz. I've forgotten what the thing is for half-wave rectification. But it'd be the same thing, the same number for light, because you're adding it together.
Okay, well,
Anyway.
an illuminating discussion tonight, but I'm going to have to go to bed here.
Yeah.
It's
I'm
midnight.
gonna check out, guys.
It's midnight in Michigan, so I'm going to go to bed.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Good
See you
night.
next week.
Well, that's right. It's back in Wisconsin or something. Michigan.
Michigan.
3-hour difference.
Yeah.
See you guys. Bye-bye.